you, Philip. Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming. Please sit. Thank you. Very kind of you to stand up. And Bishop, thank you for that kind introduction. My classmate, Brother Josie, Mr. Fox. Mr. Roll, we were trying, what is the name of your organization?
Fathers and Sons of Destiny International.
What is the Fathers and Sons of what? Of Destiny International. Okay, fine. Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to what you were saying, but we just missed what the name of the organization is, because one of the observations I was making to Mrs. Kemp is that if this had been women who had been invited here, this place would have been full. We're just trying to understand why that is. That you just, and I don't know. The society faces a problem. The problem is the young men. And we just don't seem to get it, that you just have to put more resources and energy and effort in trying to resolve this problem. I got some suggestions which I'll make at the end, but we were just wondering to ourselves, why can't we have this room full tonight? Because it's important. There's a movie I was watching the other day, and I was recalling with some friends that in the movie, little boy walks up to his father and says, Daddy, between you and Mommy, who's the boss? And the father thought about it for a moment. He said, well, that's simple. I'm the boss, but Mommy makes the decisions. So that's how we are. I see. I see all the medical. Yeah. But to go back to my own childhood, one of the proudest feelings I had as a little boy was when my father, instead of my mother, elected to go to the PTA meetings. So the two of us, he would take us. I went to, before going to St. Augustine's, I was a student at Palmdale Primary, which was then called Easton Junior. And every time there was a PTA meeting, I always went with my father to the PTA meetings. And I was probably the only one who had their father there. And I've had to get used to being a politician today, running into children who don't know their father, have no idea who he is, and have never met him or have any prospect of meeting him. And when they do meet them, it's fleeting, and there's no actual support except, yeah, that's my father, I can see that in the distance. So that was a new experience for me. The second very proud moment I wanted to recall was my father's brother. One of my father's brothers was an alcoholic. There's an organization called Alcoholics Anonymous. They used to meet at St. Agnes Church, which is in the school hall opposite the Southern Recreation Grounds. And in trying to help his brother wean off alcohol, he used to always attend the meetings with him. And he used to always take me to the meetings with him. So I remember that, never forgot it. I also remember that one of the reasons why I drink Heineken Zero today, and I tell you, because I don't drink anything with alcohol anymore. But the reason why I like Heineken beer is because my father would take me with him to his place, his watering hole, which is called the Bush Bar on Mount Royal Avenue there. And he was a Heineken beer drinker. And I would sit on his lap. He would open the beer bottle, and I always got the first sip of the beer before. So you remember things like that. I saw Utah's son. The last time I saw him, he was about half the size he is now. And I was asking him whether he was happy with the size that he's at. He sort of gave a half nod. But you see that his whole family is here with him tonight. And if you follow his own life, you would see that his search for a father was rewarded by someone who accepted, yes, I'm your father, and then incorporated him into his larger family. And that, he's written a book about it, and that made all the difference in his life. The sense of self-esteem, the confidence it gives you to be part of a family. And that's what brings my own sense of confidence to public life, is that I can report that in all my days, no issues with my parents, my father, nothing, just grew up in a great family. We had a great time. My father was always there, always engaged, always supported, and he actually outlived my mother. And it was just a pleasant experience to grow up with the two of them, and passed on to us a wonderful legacy from both parents, which is what we want to encourage. So I was thinking, they used to say, I think the expression is, if Muhammad doesn't go to the mountain has to come to Muhammad, or something like that. I don't know. You get the point. So if they're not going to come here, we may have to figure out where they are and go to them. So the first institution I thought of is the one you're in, which is the Royal Bahamas Police Force, mainly a male organization. And so is the Defense Force. So maybe you have to take your program directly to them. I'll tell you this story. Sandra Dean Patterson, who runs the Women's Crisis Center, or used to run the Women's Crisis Center, before they changed the law, there used to be a panel to deal with family court. And she used to be part of this panel. And one day she said to me, she couldn't figure out why on Family Day, when women were lining up to get their monies for, it was a Friday morning, the court used to be held, there were so many policemen in the court. She said, what is it with these women and policemen? She said, it must be the uniform or something, right? but I don't know. She said, it must be the uniform, you know? But I'm saying maybe that's where we ought to start, because you have a captive audience, you got that beautiful building inside the barracks, and if the Commissioner of Police could be persuaded, so that men like Mr. Rowe and yourselves can have a conversation with them, because we're in it's a really serious time. I mean, every day there's some issue, and it's not women, it's always the young men are in some kind of issue. And the interesting thing is that if you deal with the kids when they're in the Sandlands Primary School, for example, the little boys are still quite helpful. You ask them to do stuff, they want to help, they do. As soon as they get into L.W. Young, you know, I've gotten to the point now when I go to their graduations, I say, now, when I see you all next year in L.W. Young, remember, you could still speak to me, you know, because it's like night and day over the summer. Attitude changes entirely. Ivy Dumont told me when she was Minister of Education that it's the hormones, right? I don't believe that, but, you know, I think you just have to keep at it. The training. So police force, defense force, prison. I think you have to go, you know, Muhammad has to go to the mountain if we're going to make a stab at this nationwide. But having said all of that, it's necessary just to say thank you, because it is said in the Bible, where 2 or 3 are gathered, that's enough. Mm-hmm. And whoever's here, we start with them. And you get a seed, and you know, you keep it going. So I want to thank all of you. They overschedule me with these nights, so I have to, in a few minutes, jump off to someplace else. But you know that this is a mission for me. I support this, and we'll do everything to support it. And glad you're here, and glad you've organized it, and I look forward to its success. So thank you very much indeed.